Woman in California whose water broke prematurely and was at risk of a potentially life-threatening infection and hemorrhage was denied a medically necessary life-saving abortion. The state of California is now suing that hospital.
With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show.
Democratic Attorney General Rob Bonta accused Providence St. Joseph Hospital in Eureka, California, of discriminating against pregnant patients and violating the state's law requiring hospitals to provide necessary emergency care. The lawsuit filed in Humboldt County Superior Court seeks a court order to stop the hospital from denying medically necessary abortions in the future, as well as civil penalties. Anna Nusslock, the woman who was pregnant with twins, said at a press conference on Monday that doctors at Providence Hospital agreed that she needed an abortion to avoid life-threatening complications. She stated the doctor said that they couldn't provide an abortion because the Catholic-affiliated hospital's policy prohibited any intervention while they could hear fetal heart tones unless her life was in immediate danger, Nusslock added. The woman, chiropractor Anna Nusslock, was driven to another hospital 12 miles away and was dangerously hemorrhaging by the time she reached the operating table, according to the lawsuit. Before she left for nearby Mad River Community Hospital, a nurse gave her a bucket full of towels in case something happens in the car. Nusslock said, "The hospital's policy inflicted on me needless, protracted pain, bleeding, and trauma," she added. California Attorney General Rob Bonta issued a statement saying this. Bonta said Nusslock's ordeal was reminiscent of women's experiences in Republican-led states where abortion is banned. In California, Bonta added, the law is clear that hospitals must provide an abortion if it is medically necessary. We need hospitals to follow the law at the bare minimum, Bonta said. That is not too much to ask. If you are a human being, you can see how cruel this was. And the hospital responded with a statement. They said Providence is deeply committed to the health and wellness of women and pregnant patients and provides emergency services to all who walk through our doors in accordance with state and federal law, a Providence spokesperson said in an email, adding that the hospital was reviewing the lawsuit. We are heartbroken over Dr. Nusslock's experience earlier this year. And meanwhile, in Georgia, a judge has deemed the state's abortion ban as unconstitutional. In a ruling issued by Judge Robert McBurney, it was stated Georgia's Living Infants Fairness and Equality Act, or LIFE Act, infringes on the women's state constitutional rights. The challenge was brought by Sister Song Women of Color Reproductive Collective against the state of Georgia. When a fetus growing inside a woman reaches viability, when society can assume care and responsibility for that separate life, then and only then may society intervene. An arbitrary 6-week ban on post-embryonic cardiac activity pregnancy terminations is consistent with these rights and the proper balance that a viability rule establishes between a woman's rights of liberty and privacy and society's interest in protecting and caring for unborn infants, McBurney wrote. When originally signed into law, the LIFE Act criminalized most abortions after an embryo generates detectable cardiac activity, typically around 6 weeks into a pregnancy. So this is a nightmare. And, you know, it's so sad. Like you come on these shows and I feel like I'm always talking about what it's like to be a woman living in Texas, a woman of birthing age, a woman who would like to have a child, but is now scared to have a child unless I move completely out of my state, which isn't really an option for me right now. This is the nightmare. This is the worst case scenario. And again, this is a woman who was not trying to have an abortion, but she was suffering because of things that were out of her control. As far as we know, she didn't do anything to intentionally induce these conditions where her water broke prematurely and she started hemorrhaging violently. And she goes to a hospital and they say they can't help her. And this is particularly scary because this happened in California, where California is not one of the states that has these very, very regressive anti-abortion laws. So Sharon, you're already a mother. Congratulations to you. What do you make of all this? It's very scary.
It is
And I know
very scary.
you also have in Georgia, the laws are also very scary there too, right?
Yeah, and thank you to Judge McBurney, who tossed and said it's unconstitutional, that 6-week ban on abortion, the heartbeat bill that turned into, I don't know what kind of nonsense they named it, the love child, not whatever. It's ridiculous when you don't even know you're pregnant. Stay the hell out of my womb. And for this to go on in California, I'm split here because I just had this argument with my Republican friend who said, oh, well, we were talking about the beautiful young mothers who died in Georgia as a result of that disgusting Republican pushed Governor Kemp signed legislation that was just thrown out. They died. And his response was, well, the law allows, we have to educate people on what the law allows. And I said to him, the hospitals, the bean counters, their lawyers, they're not allowing it. That is the direct result of those bums, those scabs on the Supreme Court, ignoring the law and doing whatever the hell they wanted to do because the court has been taken. But the other part of me says, maybe it is unfair to sue the hospital, but I think everybody now has to be uncomfortable. The male lawyers who make the decisions for the hospitals, the male doctors, everyone, sadly has to be uncomfortable until we all get to the polls and demand better. We demand better. So why should it just be women or you, sweet Yaz, who may want to start a family one day? And you're right. You seem perfectly healthy and lovely to me. That's not what this is about. Anything can go wrong at any moment. And if you care about life so much, then protect everyone's life, including the mother. So we all have to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And I love that. Like if women are dying out here, then they can afford to be a little bit uncomfortable. And it's true. As far as I know, I don't have any kind of like major health complications, thankfully, but you never know. Like you have no idea how your body's going to react when you have like something growing and living inside of you, right? Like it's not anything that I think a man could even like wrap his head around, because why would he have to? Why would that be something that he would have to think about? But, I've had friends, they've had pregnancy and it went perfect. The first pregnancy, no problems, beautiful pregnancy, second pregnancy, all kinds of things flaring up, things that they'd never had to deal with before. My friend just had like an autoimmune issue just come out, and she almost had to induce her baby. It was really scary. And that was here in Texas. And she said, I would never have, if I hadn't already been pregnant at the time that these laws went into effect, she doesn't think she would have gotten pregnant and had her second child. And she and her husband, they had like a plan to flee the state if they would need to. And here in Houston, that means going, about 1,000 miles outside of Texas. If you go east, you got to go way out of the south. If you go west, we have to cross the entire state of Texas, which is about 800-900 miles already into New Mexico. So that is the situation that they have, created here in this country, across the country, because it's not just the red states who have to deal with this. It's people in all these places who don't have such restrictive abortion laws who now have to, help these women who are trying to find access to the health care that they deserve. And here in Texas, ever since these laws went into effect in 2021, I believe, the maternal mortality rate has gone up by 56%. It's very, very scary. So